Constantly, I complain about what's being circulated on the fucking internet. But because I don't spell it out for most people probably don't grasp why I'm complaining about these things. It's across the fucking board. Most things that are being circulated right now involve other narratives, aspects of numerous fucking propaganda campaigns. But most people have bought into this shit because it was normalized, which means it's commonplace. It's familiar to you. You probably believe it reflects reality because you've never taken any time to fucking question this shit because you're not questioning yourself, which means you're not questioning authority, which means you're not questioning what authority is spoon feeding you in your fucking feed when you're digesting the latest content. Here's an example. So I don't know if the kid on the right, you never know. He might work for one of the alphabet agencies. I don't know. He might be collecting checks from those assholes. I don't know. I don't know who he is, but that is something that does happen online. I think back, and this is just a time frame when these kids really stood out to me, and I realized, oh, look, these celebrity personalities are, in fact, controlled opposition assets. These guys are, in fact, misleading people, and that's why they're being fucking circulated. And this was well before the algorithm and all these, governor switches were holding people like myself back because we're not blowing smoke up your ass, misleading you, flat out lying to you. It's something to think about. So, the greatest conspiracy of our time. He's going to tell you about CIA documents, allegedly. And in doing so, he's going to reaffirm some of these narratives that I'm complaining about. Now, I just drug all this out so that it's over a minute long. It's over 2 minutes long now to weed out the fucking retards who have no attention span because they've been trained not to. Listen closely.
I will give $10,000 to anybody that can prove me wrong here. I promise you won't. So I'm reading through old CIA files. Here's a good starter. It's just the CIA basically, in their words, not mine, showing that a brainwave can turn into a particle just like a radio wave turns into a photon. It turns out this explains the whole universe, far beyond most people's comprehension. I'm going to explain it in my best layman's terms. Stick around for maybe 2 minutes and this will make way too much sense. So to start, I was reading a declassified document on warp drives. That's weird. Basically, bending space in one way and at a higher point in another causes space and time to move around you.
I refreshed it. Let's see if we can get it back.
I will give $10,000 to anybody that can prove me wrong here. I promise you won't. So I'm reading through old CIA files. Here's a good starter. It's just the CIA basically, in their words, not mine, showing that a brainwave can turn into a particle just like a radio wave turns into a photon. It turns out this explains the whole universe, far beyond most people's comprehension. I'm going to explain it in my best layman's terms. Stick around for maybe 2 minutes and this will make way too much sense. So to start, I was reading a declassified document on warp drives. That's weird. Basically, bending space in one way and at a higher point in another causes space and time to move around you. Those don't seem really interlinked yet until you start understanding that space and time is its own dimension. And you look at some of their summaries of this, and this was written in the 80s. It was a concept, but it's talking about the Large Hadron Collider, like what CERN does. I've seen so many articles on CERN people saying that their collider is haunted, like there's a specter in there. It's weird. Forget all that. It's just interesting to think about. Now we go to a file like this where they're studying research in human paranormal abilities. So think about the gateway process. I did a video on this. I did 2 videos on these concepts. Watch them.
I guess the audio just dumps on us right there. So did you guys pick up on some of this shit? There's numerous agendas in here. He mentions photons. Photons don't fucking exist. It's just as good as calling food organic and opening up the door to genetically modified poison. We quit referring to, lux and Latin light as fucking light. We started calling it photons so that you would buy into all things quantum mechanics and all the other adult fairy tale horse shit associated with that. Why? To corrupt what naturally fucking occurs. Physics. I'm talking about how shit fucking works. But now people believe in quarks and quasars and all kinds of just stupid fucking shit that you can't produce in a lab. You can't reproduce in a lab is a better way to put it. Because it doesn't exist. And it never will. It's fucking retarded that people bought into this, but people aren't challenging themselves, which means they can't challenge authority, which means they're not going to challenge. What did I already say earlier? Yeah? What else is he talking about? And this is what I mean by you never know. This kid may work for them. Then again, he does technically, whether he's getting paid for it or not. He might not be getting paid to do this, but he bought into it, if that's the case. And he's repeating this shit. And then you got the kid on the other side of this, who's doing a narcissistic reaction video. He didn't say a fucking thing in this video. We don't need to watch him drinking a beverage. We don't need to watch how this fucking Muppet, reacts. But our masters are shitting out narcissistic little duds as well, which is why that social engineering trend was spoon-fed to the internet and people latched onto it. Like flies to shit. Later in this very short clip, mind you, and it's not the complete video because our masters are dumbing people down. This is intentional so that if, say, there was an hour-long lecture, now all you can find online are brief clips at best, which means you don't get the context of the message. You don't take away the fucking information anymore. This is a war on words. This is a war on how we fucking think. This is a war on information. It's across the board. Not for our fucking benefit. So in this stupid fucking video, in my humble opinion, he also mentions warp drives, which reaffirms what? The bastard version of what people would think of as quote-unquote space. Space is a bad pun. People haven't figured that much out. Instead, you got kids talking about, we live on the flat earth. We're diametrically opposed to people who believe in NASA and the heliocentric stuff, because it's like a fucking football game. We might talk about, conquer and divide, but we don't understand it. These two groups of people have been pitted against each other based on the Hegelian dialectic, and they're too fucking stupid to get it. Case in point, you'll hear them talk about The Matrix, the movie from 1999, in both of these fucking groups, because both of these groups largely are made up of pseudo-intellectuals. And they will talk about red pills, which is, again, a polarizing narrative that was put in the the programming, to mislead people. If you think of the fucking movie, they never exited the Matrix. You never see that happen. They never got out. Layers upon layers of bullshit. They never got out. So do you think you should have chosen one of the two pills? Something that doesn't come up. You don't hear these kids talking about that. Instead, they choose one. Which one is it? You have to choose one of them. These are our options. Based on, same idea. If you're picking up what I'm putting down, our masters wrote a movie. They put it in the public sphere. That's what people digested as the latest content before that was the latest content. Same difference as this shit. Same difference as one too many things on the fucking internet. But people aren't paying attention. They don't have a clue what's going on. Let's look at some of the comments before I go to bed. This video explained nothing. Oh shit. Just trying to see if anybody threw in social engineering stickers. There's one. There's some there. Who the guy on the left? It's a fucking nutsack is what he is. It's pointless. There's somebody not spelling their words. Yeah. You cut out and where does the... God damn. How many people do you think's following this? Oh, look. They're not censored in the age of patently fascist horse shit. Because they're shopping around garbage like that. Graham Hancock, controlled opposition, dead center. Billy Carson, controlled opposition, dead center. Here's Billy Carson again and again and again. Here's Daryl on the upper left, who channels things. He calls it Bashir. He's also an old school con man, and he functions as a controlled opposition asset. So here's Daryl and fucking Billy Carson. This is why this account has so much traction. It's just fucking garbage. Here's on the upper right, you got a kid who will talk about, he's all over fucking TikTok, Instagram, YouTube. People are circulating this shit. Here and there, he'll talk about cymatics, but he will also polarize you. He's going to tell you that you live on the globe Earth. That bullshit, which is bullshit. Here's Dolores Cannon, old school controlled opposition. She pushed fucking new age horse shit to pave the way for a one world religion. If you go back and you listen to all the fucking garbage that she rattled off, if you wasted your time doing that, which you can go do, it's a waste of fucking time, but you will hear narratives in there that are being echoed today that have been expanded on, that are garbage. They don't reflect reality at all. In other words, the adult fairy tales were embellished on by our masters. Now they're worse than they used to be. What once reflected reality has been drugged through even more mud and caked in shit. And people still don't fucking get it. But then again, I stress all the goddamn time, 9/11 occurred, in 2001, and I still haven't met anybody who understands what it symbolically represents. Why our masters did what they did. And what they did, it's so fucking dark. It is so fucking dark. But people don't have a clue what's going on, which means they don't have eyes to see, which is why you don't hear it come up. Whole another ball of wax. I don't trust the guy on the upper left either, but I don't know enough about him, I don't think. More Billy Carson, more fucking Daryl, more Dolores Cannon. Just garbage. This is fucking garbage. If you and I were surrounded by smart people, adults, well-meaning people who promote all these flowery fucking messages, about, kindness doesn't cost a thing, blah, 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 and all that dumb fucking shit that you'll see online while they jerk each other off and fuck everything up for you and I, ironically. If that was the case, none of this shit would be circulated. This account would have no followers. It would be all bots. Good people wouldn't come to this account. Good people wouldn't click on any of this shit. You picking up what I'm putting down? Here's another controlled opposition asset, which we haven't seen in this account yet. I complain about him a lot. This Jordan Maxwell, his real name was I always want to say Chris Pine. Russell Pine, pardon me, if memory serves me right. He primarily spoke about etymology of words. And this is what he was tasked with. This is what he was told to do. Aspects of it hold water and reflect reality. But he also drug a lot of shit through the fucking mud and misled people, because that's how this shit works. That's why it works. Pieces will resonate with you. Other pieces will sound like something really fucking sensational and fun that you could tell your friends. But these days, now all you have to do is hit repost, which is why you and I were given access to the internet, to the DARPA internet, to circulate our master's propaganda, to further corrupt what once reflected reality and people understood. The superficial shit that used to reflect reality is so fucking far gone now, and people don't get it. But Tartaria and the mud flood, shit like that doesn't reflect reality. That's what people talk about. More Dolores Cannon, more Billy Carson. That's who I thought it is, or was, pardon me. Lots of fucking Daryl and Billy Carson. There's some more Jordan Maxwell. I'll shut up in a second. This stuff disgusts me. It's funny, but it does disgust me. There's Alan Watts. likely controlled opposition based on just the stupid fucking granola that he shopped around, and people are wowed by it. I forgot this guy's name again. Is it Joe Dispenza, I think, on the upper left? Controlled opposition. Since we got a new fucking figure in here. Here's fucking Mr. Astrology. I think that's what he goes by. You know, Santos Bonacci, controlled opposition. He'll tell you that you live on the flat earth. Typically speaking, what are the two called? You got tropical zodiacs, you know, so to speak. Tropical astrology in a way. And sidereal astrology. He'll usually tell you that, and again, they're pulling you in two different directions. You got to really reason this shit out because it functions two different ways. And if you don't compare and contrast both of them, you won't start to paint a bigger picture. There's a reason why both have been used. Both are accurate, more accurate based on, okay, I'm not going to go into all the details. It's late, like I said, I'm going to go to bed. I will say this, it's an easy way for me to remember it a lot of times. When you think of sidereal astrology, think of the number 23 and think of the number 56. Sometimes I'll think of the tarot because one card above the major arcana is 23. And then the minor arcana is 56, in other words. So the hours of the day would be 23. The minutes would be 56. You're welcome if you've never heard that. What the fuck do I know?